Hi guys, it's Molly and
Shasta for Homeschool Shenanigans. And so today, or this week, we're learning about the human body. And I love the human body because I'm a nurse and I'm a nurse practitioner. And so I'm a scientist of the body and I love it. So what did we specifically learn today, Molly?
we specifically learned about the brain.
The brain.
And it kind of looks like a wad of gum.
It does. It does look like a wad of gum, doesn't it? So
Yeah.
Molly's going to tell us a few fun facts about the brain.
Uh-huh.
And then we're going to do a few experiments and explain the brain further. So come on, why don't we start?
The brain. The brain is really powerful. The brain is an organ. An organ is a group of tissues. Not like the tissues you use to blow your nose. Like tissues
Our cells, right?
are cells.
Mm-hmm.
Just clumped together and make
To
something.
make an organ, right? So the cells that are in our kidneys are different than the cells that are in our brain, that are in our eye. They're all groups of cells that are special.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, did you know your heart is an organ and your eye is an organ?
Yeah, it's pretty cool, eh? So let's talk about the brain. So what does the brain do?
The brain basically controls all of your body.
It's the control panel, right?
Yes, it's the control panel for all of your body.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're sitting down right now, your brain is telling you to do that.
Wow.
And if you're standing up, your brain is telling you to do that.
Right. So then the brain works with what?
The brain works with the nervous system.
Yeah.
Then it's not like the kind of nervous where somebody is not sure
And you're scared or worried,
and
you
you're
mean?
scared or worried.
Right. But the brain does create that, doesn't it?
It does create it, but the nervous system is a group of nerves.
Mm-hmm. Which are kind of like little highways, aren't they?
Yes, they're kind of like little highways.
And so they go from the brain all the way to the rest of the body.
All the way to your feet and your fingertips.
Right. And so the major superhighway for the nerves to go from your brain to your body, what's the major superhighway?
Is the spine.
Exactly. So we're going to talk about that. But the first thing we want to talk about is our brain is really delicate and it needs to be protected. So Molly, what's protected?
The brain is protected by the skull. Right. And also, can you guess what also protects the brain?
Okay, so
I'll give you a little bit.
Okay, well we're going to do an experiment and this is going to show us what helps to protect the brain as well, not just the skull. Okay, so right here we have 2 containers. And in each container we have 2 eggs. These are raw eggs. And so the container is supposed to represent our skull. Mm-hmm. And we're going to add some water in one container. And we're going to see if we bump our head and if we just have a skull, does it protect our brain? And this one, we're going to put some water in it and see if water will help protect our brain. Okay, so let's close the lid. So if you were, Molly, if you were riding your bike down the street and you fell and hit your head, so drop this container. She hit her head on the sidewalk and look at what happened to her brain. Okay, so now we're gonna do it with water. We're gonna see. They can't see what you're doing.
Okay. 3,
2, 1. Our brain is protected and it didn't break. The water helped to protect it. So did you know? Let's see. See, we did it both.
Gross.
The water protected our brain. So inside of our skull, we have something called cerebrospinal fluid, and it's a fluid that bathes our brain and our spinal cord. And so it provides a level of protection between the skull and the brain, and so it protects our head. The other thing we want to do to protect our head is do what? When we're riding our bike or we're on our scooter, what else do we want to do?
Wear a helmet, guys. You need to be safe.
Yes, we need that as well. But isn't that cool? So the water around our brain protects it. Did you think that was what was going to happen?
Yes.
Or were you scared you're going to break the egg?
I was scared I was going to break the egg.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I did not know that we had
You did-
water
Yeah.
protecting our brain. And then this guy,
Yeah. He didn't survive when he fell off his bike without his helmet.
I feel really bad for him.
Okay. So the next thing we're going to show you is, our brain talks to our body through our nerves. And nerves are like really delicate things. They kind of look like pipe cleaners, right?
Yes.
They go from the base of our skull.
Yes.
So if we were to look at this brain,
Yeah.
they go out the bottom of our brain down our spinal cord. But do you think what protects them? Because they're pretty flimsy, right?
Yes.
What protects them, Molly?
We like little bones called, let me check here, vertebrates.
Right. So we're a vertebrate, which means we're a mammal, right? But we have a backbone, right? And so invertebrates are
Little animals that don't have a backbone.
backbone. Yeah.
And if we didn't have a backbone or any bones, we would just flop on the floor like a blobfish.
Like a blobfish. So to keep our nerves super safe, we have these bones called vertebrae. And so now we're going to make a backbone. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take some pipe cleaners. Yep.
These yellow guys are the nerves.
And these nerves, they're going to come from the brain, and then they're going to go out to the body. And we're going to put a
Little candy ring in between all of them.
Can you show the camera? Because I can't see when you go outside of the camera. Yeah.
Candy ring.
So we're going to, put that on there.
Put it on here. You can use any kind of ring candy, even the keys, because they have holes. But
Okay.
you can use
So
the
we
candies that have holes. I'm going to fold this guy like that. You have to fold them straight in half. And then you take them,
Yeah, just
you
put it around like this.
put it around
Just fold it.
like that. And then you take the next candy ring and do that. And keep doing that forever until you get no more of these guys.
Okay, so we just have 3 of the pipe
I
cleaners.
just got 3 of them.
Can you put another candy ring on
Yes, I'll
there?
put
Because we want to show them how flexible the spine is, but how flexible it is, as well as how protective it is. So we have a ton of these vertebrae, and they can bend the spine. So the spine bends like this, right? And all these nerves go into the body. And our spine goes from the top of the bottom of our head, right? Our brain, right down to our tailbone. So this is like our tailbone. And then all these nerves communicate with our body to our legs, to our belly to tell us to digest our food, to our muscles to tell us to pick something up, right? We need nerves to do all the work in our body. The nerves also help us to feel pain and give us reflexes. They do a lot of things. So our spine is super protected by our vertebrae. Isn't that cool? Okay, so the next thing we want to talk about are the different parts of the brain. And so there's many different parts. And so this is what the brain looks like. And this is the front of the brain. And this is called the...
Frontal lobe.
And what's the frontal lobe responsible for?
The frontal lobe is responsible for, let me see.
Making good and bad decisions. So, and it's really important for speech. So if we get a really bad bump on the head,
Yeah.
sometimes we'll say things that are really funny, or we might get angry. Okay, sometimes when people have a bump or a damage to their frontal lobe, that's what happens. So then the next part of the brain is right on the top, right here. And this is a big thinking part of the brain, and it's called the what, Molly?
It's called the parallel lobe.
Parietal lobe.
Parietal.
And it's really important for us to understand numbers. So that's how our brain knows how to do math. It's also really important for us to know shapes and sizes and space. So that part of the brain was helping us put these candies on that pipe cleaner. It was allowing us to have the dexterity or the ability to be able to do that. So sometimes when people have damage to that area, they can't stack things, or they can't do the buttons on their jacket because they're unable to do those fine movements. So the next part of our brain is what?
Is the temporal lobe.
Temporal lobe. And where is that, Molly? Show us with your fingers. Where is that? Go on the... Yeah, right over your ears. So it's really important for hearing, because that's where our ears are attached. But it's also really important for visual memory. So when we remember pictures or things, that's where it's stored in our memory. So it's like a picture storage. Okay, so what is the next one, Molly? Which one do you want to do?
The next one is the
occipital lobe, right?
Yes.
And where is that? That's right at the back of your head?
Right at the back. Ow.
Yep. And that is for what? What's it connected to?
It's connected to visual senses.
Yeah, it's connected to our eyes. So our eyes, the optic nerves, are connected right to the back of our head. Mm-hmm. Then the last two parts of our brain are super important. And so the last part of our brain is something called the cerebellum, which is super important for balance. It is what makes us able to stand up without falling over. And when I check people's balance, do you know how I check it, Molly?
No.
So we're going to do a little test that I do in my office. So, Molly, I'm going to get you to come stand on the floor here. Okay, Molly, standing on the floor. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to put your arms out in front of you with your palms to the ceiling. Nope, palms to the ceiling. Yep. And do you feel like you're going to fall over?
No.
Perfect. And that's an easy test, but sometimes when people have problems with balance, they fall over while I'm doing that test. And that test is called the Romberg test. So that's teaching us balance.
That's a funny name.
Romberg, hey? And then the last part of our brain is the brainstem. And that's the part of the brain that communicates with the spinal cord. But it's super important because it does things that we don't have to think about doing. So it keeps our heart beating because we don't have to think about that, do we? It just beats, right? It allows us to breathe. We never stop breathing, right? We just keep breathing. And so it's really, really important for those things that just happen even though we're not thinking them, right? Mm-hmm. So that is pretty amazing. So that is our beginning video on the brain.
And guys,
what else?
My mom always tells me to stop stomping, but I don't know that I'm doing it. It sounds like I'm very quiet.
Okay. We'll see you guys later. We'll do some more videos about the human body with some really cool experiments coming up later this week. Take care.